You know, your 20s are sold to you like a highlight reel. You always scroll on any form of social media and you just see the best versions of people's lives. You see them traveling, you see them getting married, you see them building families. But honestly, no one talks about the behind the scenes. No one talks about the little bloopers. Nobody talks about having to essentially just work on yourself. So, this is my little chit chat girl talk. And go grab a coffee and let's talk about your 20s. Yeah, and I feel qualified to talk about my 20s because I am in my late 20s. So, go grab a coffee. Let's have a chat. Okay, so, the one thing I think all of us need to take into consideration is that you will feel behind. You will definitely feel behind. And I think you will feel behind because the world has changed. The way people live are so different. And I think a big factor that plays into this is social media. You are on social media, you're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and you are just seeing everybody's highlight reels. You are seeing everybody's good moments. And I think that side of life, having to essentially look at people move on with their lives and build with their lives, makes you feel behind. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you not getting married, or you not having a baby, or you not traveling. I want everyone to realize that it's normal to feel behind. Everybody's living life and everybody's running a different race, and they're all running at their own pace. And you need to accept that you have a different pace from everybody else, and comparison is most definitely the thief of joy. You need to understand that, hey, you just live a different life. Yes, you will feel behind, but you need to really ask yourself, are those the things that I want? Do I want to have a baby? Do I want to get married? Do I want to study further? Those are the things that you need to figure out, and you need to ask yourself those questions. And if those are things that you do want, then what's stopping you from getting them? If you're looking at certain things and you see that there are things that are stopping you from getting them, then go for it. Deal with those things so that you can eventually maybe have a baby, build a family, get married, study further, whatever it is that you want to do. But you need to figure that out for yourselves. And it is normal to feel behind. Like I said, everybody's living at their own pace of life. Everybody wants different things, and that's okay. You just need to acknowledge and not compare yourselves to those people, basically. Another thing is, career confusion is so real. You have lived your life this whole time learning. You've come from school you go to university, and then from university you go into corporate. And most of the time, the thing that you chose when your frontal lobe was not even fully developed are things that other people had influenced you into. Most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time. And so when you do the job that you want to do, you realize, oh, actually, I don't think this is for me, and that's fine. I have so many friends that have pivoted careers, that have studied in something, worked in that something, and realized, oh, I think I need to pivot. And there's nothing wrong with pivoting. And I think that you just need to make the decision. You just need to realize that you want something different. You can't please everybody. Some people are just not going to be happy with the decisions that you made, but you need to look at yourself and be like, will I be happy with the decision that I've made? Because that's what's important. Will you be happy? Career confusion is so real, but if you need to pivot. And the best time to pivot is now, because you are your youngest version of yourself now. Don't be scared. If you really think you want to potentially move into a different career, fine. I'm a chemical engineer, right? And I've had questions or sessions with multiple different people from multiple different careers, and I've asked them about their jobs, and I scheduled meetings with them to see, oh, is this something that I like, or do I enjoy photography? Is photography a good job for me? Is there a potential in photography, for example? Do I maybe like opening like a clothing store? Oh, what does it take Is it something that I enjoy? Is it something that I like? So, like, ask yourself those questions. There's nothing wrong with pivoting. And like I said, the best time to pivot is now. Okay, another thing is healing becomes unavoidable. When I tell you your issues start reflecting in everything. I'm a very avoidant person. If something hurts my feelings, I know some people go outwards, I tend to go inwards, and I tend to go inwards and I internalize the healing. Basically, I internalize my feelings and I try to grapple with my feelings before I even attempt to speak to somebody about them, because I need to understand my own feelings before I just tell somebody I'm sad. But like, why am I sad? Yes, that can be a positive thing, but it can also be a negative thing, because you tend to, I don't know, you tend to put things off and deal with things yourself. And so those are things, like, that's just an example, but those are things that you really need to understand, that yes, it could be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. And if it is a bad thing, how do I deal with it? Healing is unavoidable. I know so many of my friends are in therapy, and I really love that the stigma, specifically in our generation, that the stigma against therapy is somewhat gone, and that being in therapy doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you, but it gives you the skills and the tools to work on the things that could potentially affect your future, your relationships, and I don't know, just your life overall. And I think it's so important to look at your flaws and see, oh, this is something that I need to work on. And it's best to do it in your 20s, because trust me, the older you get, oh my word, the harder it is to change. There's nothing wrong. Acknowledge that there's something that you can work on and just work on it. The last thing that I want to talk about in your 20s is you start valuing your peace. You really start valuing your peace. I think in your early 20s, you like figuring things out. You are going out with friends, going out with family, accepting people's flaws, and just, figuring life out. But when you get to your later 20s, you realize, oh, well, I don't want a friend that will talk behind my back to somebody else and gossip about me, or I don't want to go out and come home and sleep at like 4 o'clock in the morning, because it really could potentially mess up the way I do things. Like, when you get older, when you get to your late 20s, that's when you start really looking at your life, and really you start looking at things you don't want. Okay, let's make an example out of me. I am not the biggest fan of getting drunk. I am not the biggest fan of alcohol in general. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with having a drink or two, but I just don't enjoy, I don't enjoy having that be the center of my joy, if that makes sense, right? So I don't mind if you have a drink, but you are living life because of something else. But if you are centering your happiness and your joy around alcohol, then that is something that personally I don't want in my life. And that's just something that I realized later in my 20s. It's something that I've really given some thought. Like, I made the effort to not center my life around alcohol. Yeah, I think you really do start to change your life based off of certain things that bring you peace in your life, if that makes sense. You start to protect your peace, and there's nothing wrong with that, so protect your peace. Okay, final thing that I have learned in my 20s is to live in the moment. I think as the world has changed, and as my responsibilities as an adult has grown, I have learned that I need to live in the moment. I think the biggest lesson for this was watching my niece and my nephew in the ocean, like rolling with the waves, having the time of their lives, cackling, laughing. Watching them genuinely brought so much joy to my heart, and watching them have the time of their lives was such a massive eye-opener for me. And I don't know, it just made me realize you need to live in the moment. Oh my word, live in the moment, have fun, find things that bring you joy. I started doing little side hobbies. I started building puzzles. I'm starting to get back into photography. I tried picking up painting, for example. I signed up for a freaking Ironman that I didn't do. I don't think you guys understand, but just putting yourself out there and having fun and living life is so important. You really can't just go to work, come home, pay your bills, sleep, eat, and do it all over again. Like, that's not a life worth living. And I feel like the earlier you realize that, the better. And don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect and I am still trying to figure it out. I am still trying to find a balance, but if there's one lesson, one big, massive, freaking lesson that I've learned in my 20s, is that I need to live in the moment and I need to find and do things that bring me joy. Because if I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it for me. Like, nobody else is going to do it for me, and that is just what it is. So, yeah, live in the moment, guys. Live your best lives. Do the things you've always wanted to do. Go learn how to ride on a freaking horse. Go sign up for a triathlon. Go paint. Learn how to play the freaking cello if you need to. Just explore and do the things you've always wanted to do. Like, I know as kids sometimes there were things that you wanted to do, but unfortunately, like, maybe your parents couldn't afford putting you into those classes. In your 20s, go do those classes. Like, I know people that have signed up for swimming classes and are learning how to swim. Hell, I signed up for swimming classes in my 20s and I learned how to swim in my 20s. So I think just live in the moment, do everything that you want to do. It is what it is. You'll find your joy in those things. You need to make space and make room for joy in your own life, because in all honesty, nobody's gonna do it for you. And that's something I I learned the hard way. Okay, that's the end of my drink, which means I'm at the end of the video. Final closing thoughts. These are my final closing thoughts. Your 20s are meant to be messy. Your 20s are meant for you to live life. Your 20s are not meant to be perfect. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my little girl talk video. See you next time. Bye.